Hello guys, you are welcome back to the second session of Introduction to Excel. So in this session, we'll be talking about advanced Excel functions and what are the functions we are going to be talking about. So we're going to be talking about the VLOOKUP functions, HLOOKUP functions, and XLOOKUP functions, mathematical and statistical functions. We've actually looked at that at the first session. Then we're looking at the text functions, date functions, and logical functions. So let's dive in right into Excel to talk more about this. So the first one we're going to be talking about is the string functions. Now we have several types of string functions. We have the left, we have the right, we have the main, and many more like that. So what we want to check is how these functions can be applied in Excel and how they can be used to clean data or manipulate data in Excel. So the first thing I'm going to create a sheet for this data. Let me just create a new sheet and paste it there. So those are the functions that we're going to be dealing with. So we're taking one after the other. So the first one we have is left. So what is left in Excel function? How can we use left in Excel function? So let me just try to type in some values here, like my name. So in this case now, if I wanted to extract some values to the left of the value that I have in cell E1, then that's when I use left function. So for example now, I want to extract Ola that is in the left. So what I need to do is just type in left and specify the text you want to extract. So I'm extracting the cell on E1, then comma. So what is the number of characters of the text I want to extract? Ola there is like 3 characters, OLA. So I'm going to type in 3, and so I got Ola. So that's one of the ways to use what left to extract data to the left of a particular text. So another one that we have is right. So just the same way we have left, we also have right. So if I wanted to extract some text towards the right of a particular, extract some value towards the right of a particular text. So what I need to just type in is just type in left and select the cell that I want to extract it from, which is the text. Press the comma. Then I extract the number of characters. For Emmanuel that I have here now. So the number of characters for Emmanuel here is 8. So let me type in 8 now. Oh, okay, we get Emma. Let's check it again. Okay, probably because I have some. Sorry, let's try that Emmanuel again. Okay, sorry. I'm using right, not left. That's where the mistake is coming from. So I'm going to type in right for the right. Then I type in the text and type in Emmanuel. 8. Then I have Emmanuel. So that's how you use the left and right to extract a text in Excel. So the next one we have is mid. Let me zoom in this thing a bit so that you can all see. So mid, what does mid does? So let's check it out. If I type in mid here now, say returns the characters from the middle of a text strings, given the starting position and the length. So let's say for example, now I want to extract some character within this particular text that I have in cell E1. I can use mid for that. So what I need to do is just select the text I want to extract from. So what is the start number? That is the position that you want it to start looking for the text that you want to extract. So for example now, the O that in Ola starts with is in position 1, L is in position 2, A is in position 3. So I'm gonna say, okay, let's start from position 1. That's the number of position I want you to start the extraction from. And how many number of characters do I want to extract? So for me to extract Ola, let me just put 3, starting from position 1. And that's Ola. So if I did something like this for mid also, let me try another example here. So I have mid, so I want to extract from this particular text here. And I want to start from position 2. Let me put it that way. That is, start from L. So start from position 2, that will be comma. Then extract what number of characters, how many number of characters do you want to extract? 2. So in this case, it's only going to extract LA. And that's how our trim work. Sorry, mid works. Now the next one I want to talk about now is trim. Trim is for removing trailing species before or after a particular character. So let's say, for example, I type in Ola here again. and I mistakenly press a space before I enter. Now there's a trailing space with this text now. And let's say, for example, I also have another one here. If I type in Ola, maybe I mistakenly press space and I type in Ola. So there's a trailing space before this Ola. So this is one of the data quality issue we have in when we are cleaning our data. So in this case now, Excel is saying these three let me type in this one very well. Excel is seeing these three text as a different thing. Because this one has a trailing space after, this one has a trailing space before, and this one does not have any. So to Excel now, when you're trying to analyze this thing, they are different. They are different type of text. Meanwhile, they are the same thing. It's just because of the trailing space that comes after or before the text. So how can we remove the trailing spaces? So I can do that by using in trim. So trim tends to remove trailing space before or after a particular text. So if I put it that way now, then I have Ola. So let me do it for the second one. Trim. Then the trailing space has been removed. So that is trim. Now let's look at length. Len is just for counting the number of lengths that we have. So for example, now I type in, I want to find the number of length of this text I have here. Len that equals to. So len, type in the text I want to count the length, and it's returning 3. So we have 3 lengths here. So let me try these other ones that I have here, the other that has a trailing space. So if I type in len, it's giving me 4. You can see that because a space is also a character. So that's why you know that okay, there's a trailing space here. It's giving me 4, and this one is giving me 3. This is because this one has a trailing space after it. That's why it's returning 4. And that's for length. Now find. Let's look at what find does. So find is used to return. Let's check the value of find. Okay, find returns the starting position of one text string within another text string. Find is case sensitive. So if I wanted to find the position of a particular character within a text, I can use find. But one thing about find is this, it is case sensitive. So if the text you are looking for is small letter A, you have to type it as small letter A. And if it's capital letter A, you have to type in as a capital letter A. So in this case, I want to find the position of A in this text that I have here. So I'm going to type in find. Then I see, first of all, I have to type in the text I'm looking for, and I have to put it in double quote. So I'm putting A, and is that, where am I checking it from? Where am I looking for the text? Is in cell E5, comma, and it's asking me for the starting number, like where it's going to start searching from. So that one is actually optional, but if you don't put anything there, it's going to start from position 1. But probably you want it to skip maybe the first 2 position or the first position. You can state the number of position you want it to start looking for. If I put position 2 now, that means it's going to start looking from L. So it depends on the position you want it to start looking for. So in this case, let me just put 1. But default is also 1. So it's telling me that A is in position 3. And you can see that. So if I change this A now to capital letter A, just to show you that this find is case sensitive. If I change it to capital letter A now, you can see it's telling me no value found. There is no, we don't find any value for that. So that's one thing about find. It's case sensitive. So find and search, they do the same thing. They just look for the position. What is the position of a particular character in a text? But one thing about them is this: find is case sensitive, but search is not case sensitive. So if I try to use search for the same thing now, I use search and I put in a text I'm looking for. Let's just put in A, small letter A, and we know what text, same text, and the starting number. What is the starting number? Starting number is 1. That is, that's where you start looking. Then I get A. I get 3. So when I change this one to capital letter A, for instance, now I also get 3. So that's the difference between search and find. So now the next one we have is concatenate. Concatenate is used for merging cells together. It's used for merging cells together. And how can we try that? So let me just give me some examples here. Let me just say we have Ola, we have Ima, so we have Julius, and we have Richard, Julius Richard, and we have Paul and Ben, or Paul Ben, or something like that. Let's say, for example, now we have this particular character. Maybe this one is the first name of a customer, and this one is the last name. So we have something like this. Now, if I wanted to like merge these two cells together to get the full name, I can do that by using concatenate. So let's say I put in a character and this one is full name. So I have the customer last name and first name. I want to put together to get full name. So I can use concatenate. So equals to concat. That's the function. Then I select the first character, comma, select the second character that I want to merge together. And I press enter, close bracket and press enter. Now you can see that this thing is not, there's no space, it's just merging the two together. But I want it in such a way that it is, there's a space between them. So I can identify that this one is the first name and this one is the last name. I can do that by just, after the first character, after the first text I'm merging together, I put a space character in quote. You put a space character in quote, another comma, then you press this thing, the other one, and press enter. Then I get Olaima. So and I can apply my relative references to the other just to get the full name. So you can see now we have Olaima, we have Julius Richard, we have Paul Ben. So that is how the concatenate works. And the next one we want to talk about now is, so if I wanted to extract any of these texts, I can either use left or right to do that. But one thing about left or right is this, it is very tricky because if I'm to extract the first name of all these, I want to extract the first name uh of this customer now. So I can just use, there's a function in Excel. So I type Ola now, not stressing myself. If I type Ola and I go to the next one, and I press Control E. Sorry, type in Julius, put in another one, Richard, and I try and Control E. Sorry. Okay, sorry. This one should be Julius. That's the first name. Mistake. So Julius, I press Control E. Why is this thing not coming out? So Julius, so let me see what I did wrong. Mm-mm. So there's a mistake here. So let's have it this way. Let me try some example. Let's see, we have Tunde, we have Abi, uh, Tunde, Sam, Abi, let's see, Bilo, okay, okay, here, here's put some random name here. And we have like, let's say, um, we have the berry. So if I want to extract the full name here, so I type in Tunde here now. Tunde is the first name. I want to extract only the first name. I type in Abi. You can see automatically Excel is suggesting the other value for me. So I can now just come here and just press Ctrl E and it's going to give me the other name. So like that, if you wanted to extract it, probably a portion of text, you have the full name, and you wanted to extract the first name. So what you need to do is just type in the first pattern for the first cell, second pattern for the first cell. Automatically, Excel should suggest the other one for you. And if Excel does not do that, just to the next step, just press Ctrl E, and the other ones will be what be extracted. So that's the way that one works. So another longer way to do this for this one is by using the left and right. So now if I use the left and right for this now, this I use the left and right for this, I want to extract the first name. I type in equals to left, and I type in the text I want to extract the text left from, and it's asking for the number of characters. So for the first one, Ola is 3. But for me to drag it down for the other ones are not 3. They have different length. This one is like 6, this one is 4. So how do I do that? So definitely left cannot work in this case. So in this case, what you need to do is this. So you have to find a pattern within this text. Now, what are the things that separate Ola from Ima? I notice that is a space. So I can use that space, I can leverage on that space to separate them into two different name. So what I can do is this. First thing I need to do is I need to find the position of the space using the find function. So find, so what am I looking for? The text, I just put space in quotes, comma. Now, what is the next one within what text? Within this text, and the starting number, I should start from 1, definitely position 1, and I press enter. So it's telling me that the position of space in this first one is 4, while the position of space in the second one are different. So I can use this position of space to determine uh, the name to the left and the name to the right, which is the first name and last name. So I can do something like left. So what text am I extracting from? So I'm extracting from this text. Now this is where the magic comes in. So comma. So what is the number of character that I'm trying to extract now? So I'm going to do length of the whole character. Just give me the length of the whole character like this. Select this minus length of the whole character. So after getting the length of the whole character, then I can minus the position of the space from it. Okay, is it that? Hope I'm not making mistake. Okay, length of the space and that's all. No, no, that's a mistake here. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so yeah, what I can do is this. Since I've not the position space of position, sorry, that's a mistake. Since I know the position of the space now, and I know that um it is the name I want to extract, which is Ola, is to the left of the space, and the space position is 4. What I can do is just type in 4, that is this position minus 1, and press enter. You understand now? This position minus 1 and press enter. Then it's giving me Ola. So if I do that for the other ones too, I'm getting Julius and Paul. That is how that one works. So for to extract the value to the right, can use some other tactics for this one and select the same name, comma. Then I can do the since this is the 4, this one is in position 4. So and the whole length is so I can remove the position number of what of space from the O1 to get the length of Imaye. So if space is in position 4, what comes after space is the what is the last name. So I can do something like just typing length of the whole character. I think this is where I want to use it before. Length of the whole character, which is press this, then minus the position. So I close the bracket, then I get Ima. And I can also drag the other ones down to get Ima, Richard, and Ben. So that is that one for now. The next one I want to talk about is replace. Replace is just like you replacing a particular value or variable with another thing. So let's say, for example, now I have equals to replace part of a text string with a different string. So when I type in text, so it's asking for the old text. So what is the old text? The old text I want to replace from is from Tune here. So what is the start number? To start from position 1, and the number of character that I want to like replace. I want to replace two. Probably I want to replace only one character. So I want to replace the T in Tunde, and comma, what am I replacing it with? Let me just put S, and I have to put that in quotes, S, and I close the bracket. You can see it has replaced Tunde with Sunday. Sorry about that. So that's that. So if I'm replacing maybe two characters of it, I'll just type in two, and it's going to replace the first and second character, which is TU. Yeah, so it's replacing the first two character with S, and that's that. So the next one we have is upper and lower, and that one is just converting your text to upper and lower. So currently now I have this text in uppercase, so I can just type equals to lower to convert it to lowercase and just press enter, and that's that. And I can easily do this one to bring it back to upper again, upper, and close the brackets, and that's that. So that's all about text functions in Excel. Okay, so the next functions we are going to be looking at now is the date functions, date and time functions. So how does the date and time function work? So for example, now the other time I show you in the first session, I talked about some of the functions in Excel, like today to give us the current date, now to give us the current date and time. What else do we talk about there? We talk about date function just to create date and the time function to create time. So we already talked about those ones. Now today we are in this session we are going to be talking about how to extract the day, the month, and the year from the date column. So, for example, now if I wanted to extract the the day number from this particular date now, so I can start with just typing equals to day, and so the next one is after typing day, I just put in the date that I want to extract the day from, and it's giving me 5. So that's that. So if I want to extract the month also, I just type in month, then I put in the date and I close the bracket and I get the month number, which is April. Then the next one is the year. So I just type in year and type in year and just select date. So one other thing we can also do with this one now is, as you see, I've already extracted the day, the month, and the year in Excel. So one other thing is this: if I wanted to increase the number of days of this particular date, I can add the number of days I want to increase it with to it. So for example, it's going to be like equals to the date and the number of days that I wanted to increase the date with, so I press in plus and I press in, let's say, 5 now. So it's going to increase this date by 5 days. So that we have 10th of April 2023. So another functions about date is this. Let's say I want to extract the day of the date and I want it in like in text form. So I can use the text function to extract the day name. So I'm going to type in text. So after typing the text, I put in the date value, then the format. So since I want to extract it in full, I have to put it in quotes. So I'm going to type D. So that it must be 4 and close the bracket. So this one is giving me Saturday. That is the uh day name for this particular date. Then I can also extract the month also. So that will be text. Select this one. Okay, and you put the format. So that will be M. So I'll close the bracket and that will give me the month, which is April. Then I want to extract the that's that. So that's just the day and the month. So if I want to extract it, what to get. So majorly that's what we have on date and time. Although when we start data cleaning, we also be looking at some of these other functions, but basically that's what we have for date and time. Now, the other ones that we have are the lookup, no, the logical functions. Logical functions. What are logical functions? Logical functions are conditional statements. Logical functions are conditional statements. So what are the conditional statements I'm talking about? I'm talking about if statements. If you are familiar with conditional statement very, very, very well, if statements, and if and if or and every other thing like that. So when we're talking about conditional statements, if I wanted to execute something based on a condition, that's when I use conditional statements in Excel. For example, I can say, if this particular type column is equal to touch, return true, else return false. That's the conditional statement. So for me to start that, I'm going to type in equals to if. The logical test is the condition that you are testing. And the testing is that if this particular cell is equal to touch. So what I need to do is just select the cell name as C, great if it's equals to, then you put the touch in quotes, it has to be in quotes, and TOUCH. So if this particular column or cell, so if the particular cell is equal to touch, what do I want to do? The first one is a logical test. So the next one is that you put comma. So what comes after the comma is what do you want it to do if this condition stated here is true? That is, if it is touch truly, what do you want it to return? So that I want it to return good. Let me just put good. And if the condition is false, what do you want it to do? So return false, bad. Let's just put bad there. And we close the bracket. See what is going to happen now. Since um this particular cell is touch, then it's going to return true good. So we have it. So if I drag this thing down now to the other cells using the autofill function, you can see those ones that are not um touch are what showing bad. So that's one like a typical example of a conditional statement in Excel. So we can also apply this one to, let's say, the numbers here. So if this particular unit price is greater than 300, return good, and if it doesn't, return bad. Or if it's greater than 300, multiply it by 5%, and if not, multiply it by 2%. So I can do something like that. I can do a kind of like arithmetic calculation in the return value of true or false. So equals to if, sorry, I have to start with if. If this logical test is greater than 300, then multiply this particular text cell by 5%. So we are doing something. And comma. So if the condition is false, that if it's not greater than 300, that is if it's 300 or lesser, what should Excel, what do you want me to do? That's what Excel is asking the value if false. So if it's less than 300 or equals 300, then multiply it by 2%. And you can see what our value that we get. That one is a formula, that's why it automatically populates itself. So it's a table, that's why it automatically populates itself. You can see now, this one is greater than 300. So this is the 5% of this particular value. So that's how conditional statement work. So if a particular condition is true, after you like put it there, and what are the conditional statement that you can use? Conditional function that you can use, like greater than, less than, equals to. Those are the conditional statement that return a true or false answer. So that is that one. I hope that one is clear for the if statement. So if let's try another thing, like okay, if the value is, let me just try, if the value is greater than or equals to 400, return good, else return bad. So if the value, that is the unit price that we have here, is greater than or equals to, typing greater than or equals to 400, then what I want to return good, comma, else return bad. So I close it and press enter. Okay, there's something wrong here. So made a mistake. What is the issue here? So if you return Okay, value if true should be good. So type in good, comma. So value if false, that should be bad, and quote, close the bracket. Then we have good. So if I drag this one down now, then I have good, bad, good, bad. So that's the conditional statement, and that's a single. When you have only a single logical test, just one logical test. So I'm only testing unit price. Now, should in case you have multiple condition, that one is just a single condition. So if I have multiple conditions, like okay, if the phone is a touch and is greater than 400, do this. So if the phone is touch and is greater than 400, do this. If and that is, and when you are using and, I want you to pay attention to this. When you are using and, the two conditions must be true before the answer returns true. So, for example, let's say I have a younger brother, and I promise him that okay, if you pass your exams and stop playing football, then I'm going to give you some money. So if you pass your exam and stop playing football, I'm going to give you some money. So if he passed the exam but he's still playing football, I'm not going to give him the money because he only fulfilled one of the promises. So for if and to work, the two conditions must be what? Must be true. So for me to give him that money, he must stop playing football and he must pass his exam for me to give him that money. So same goes with this one now. So in this case now is and. So when you are dealing with multiple conditions, then you have to use if and or if or. But let's talk about if and first. So if you type in the if condition, inside of it you have to put and. After typing if, is inside of it you have to put and. Type in and is also a function. Then inside the and, that is where you put your logical test, your conditions that you are testing. You put everything inside the and as many as they can be. You put them there, separating them by comma. So you can have multiple conditions like it can be like two, it can be three, it can be four, it can be five, as many as you want. Just put it there and separate them by comma. So now I want to try this. If the phone is touch and its value um is greater than 300, then it's a good phone. Else it's a bad phone. So that's what I want to do now. So I select. So if this is equal to touch, quote, comma, and if the unit price is greater than 300, so if that's all the condition I'm testing, then I have to close the bracket like that. When you are done with all your condition, you close the bracket. After that, you press the comma. So after you close the bracket of the condition, you press the comma and see what we are having next now. What do you want it to return if all the conditions that you have there is true? Then I want you to return good phone. Else return, that is if the condition return in quote also bad phone. So that's that one. You can see it's returning good phone because it's a touch and the price is greater than 300. So if I drag it down, now look at it. For the first one that we have bad phone, let's just check it out ourselves. So for the first one that we have bad phone, you can see that the phone is touch, but the value is lesser than 300. That's why it's returning bad phone. Same here, the phone is non-touch, the value is lesser than 300. So for this one, the phone is non-touch and the value is also lesser than 300. So other ones that we have bad phones here. Let's look at the ones that we have bad phones here. Now, the phone is non-touch, but the value is greater than 300. So because one of the condition is false, that's why everything is returning as false. So that's one thing about it. And if one of the condition is false, everything returns false. But if the two condition is true, then that's why it can become true. So that's for if. So another thing is if or. If or also takes in multiple condition. But one thing about if or is this: if one of the condition is true, the whole result becomes true. Like for example, now if I told that my same brother that okay, if you stop playing football or you pass your exam, I'm going to give you some money. So if you stop playing football and he didn't pass the exam, I'm still going to give him the money because he has done one of his. That's what all is all about. So if one of the condition is true, it returns true. If all the condition is still true, it's also returned true. So the only reason why we can get false in all is if all the condition is false, then it returns false. So in that case, equals to if um so what we need to do now, so in this case now, I'm going to if or, so we type in the or. So if this phone is touch, let me just use touch. If the phone is touch, that's the follow here. If is equal to touch, I mean touch. So it has to be in quotes. Touch, comma, the second condition, or if the phone is equal to touch, or the value is greater than 300. That's all the condition that we want to type. Close the bracket. What should we return? Return good deal, else return bad deal. You can see we got good deal here. Why do we get good deal? Because both the phone is touch and it's also greater than 300. That's why we're getting good deal. Let's see whether we can get bad deal. So we have bad deal here. Let's check it. So why do we have bad deal here? This is because the phone is okay. Is that why we have bad deal? So why do you have bad deal? Because the phone is touch and it's also greater than 300, so we should get good deal. So what do we get wrong here? Let's check it out. C13. Okay, sorry. Oh, okay. I think I made a mistake. I should start from C2 instead of C3. Okay. Hold on. I'm missing something here. That's where it should be. Fine, this one is referencing C13 instead of this. So let me check the formula again. I think I made a mistake here. So let's check the formula again. Equals to if or logical tests. I put it all there. Okay. Yeah, I should have started with C2 and I start with C3. That's where the thing is coming from. So if this is equal to touch, comma, or the price is greater than 300, close the bracket, return, it was good deal, else return bad deal, the bracket. So then I get good deal for this. So if I drag this thing down now, okay, I think I get the answer now. So for this one, I got bad deal. The phone is non-touch and is lesser than 900. That's why we have bad deal for that one. And for this one also, the phone is non-touch and also lesser than 500. So both conditions are false. That's why it's returning false for this one. So that is if statement for in Excel. So other things that we have is we have some if. Now, all those mathematical statements that we talk about, like some if, so we have some ifs. So we can apply all these things. We have some if equals to some ifs. You can see some ifs. We have count if. We have average if. If you check some of these mathematical and statistical functions, we have if attached there. So this is used when you wanted to execute a particular options or operations on a condition. So what I want to do now is this. So for example, now if I wanted to add what is the total number of unit uh, total unit price for touch phones alone, the total unit price for touch phone alone, then I can use some if. So check this one out now. Equals to some if. So it's asking me for the range. So what is the range? The range that is asking me for is the range of my criteria, the range of the condition. So I'm going to select this type here. And what do you want it to do? No, so after that, you put comma. So after selecting the range of the condition, then it's asking what is your criteria. So only do this if this value is equals to, just type in if it's equal to touch. That is if it's equal to touch. So what do you want to do? What do you want to sum if this particular thing is equal to touch? Then you select the sum range, which is this unit price. Then I press enter. Then it's adding everything together that is touch. So you should get checking now. If you add everything up that is touch here now, it will be equals to this particular number. If you add everything to that is touch now is equal to that particular. So if you try that sum, so the first five, so let's just add it together, comma. So we have these two, comma. We have this, comma. We have this, comma. We have this. Uh, Something is wrong. Sum if product is equal to touch. So let me try another one. Yeah. So equals to uh if I get this thing right. Oh sorry, get it right. So I get it right. So it's made a mistake. So E2 then to sum the next one is just to come here. I'm so adding the other one. So come here, comma. The next one, come here, comma. The next one, come here, comma. And this. You can see we have the same value. So that's how you use sum if. So you wanted to sum a range of value based on a condition, a range of value that met a particular criteria. That's when you use sum if. So same goes for sum ifs. Some ifs. Now some ifs is if you have multiple conditions. That's some ifs. Let's just try that one out. Some ifs. So sum of the range, that is what you want to sum together. Select that one first, comma. Then the criteria range one. So probably if the phone is equal to uh touch. So I put the criteria just I put the criteria, I put comma, the criteria that you want to fulfill for you to add it up. So I'm going to say okay, if is equal to touch, comma. So the next one is okay, criteria range two. So if this particular type is equal to touch and the operating system is Android, that's what I want to do. So I select the range also and I put in equals to Android. So I close the bracket now. I press enter. So check it out. So if the two condition is true, that's when it's going to add it together. So that's all ifs. And the condition can be more than two, it can be three, it can be four, for it to sum that particular range of value. So I said if this particular range is touch and is Android phone. So this is what we have now. Touch and Android phone. So let me just try and add it up to see what we have. Equals to sum. So I have this, comma. So what's the next one? Where do we have Android net that is touch? Then I have this, comma, where do you have Android that is touch again? Then I have this, comma, What do you have? Android that is touch again. Then I have this and have this. So if I press enter, it's giving me the same thing. So that is sum as unused. So the same thing goes for average if. So if I'm averaging it based on condition, so that will be average if. So the range, so it's the range of the criteria. So this is the range, and the criteria is what? If it is touch. So I put touch there, comma, and the what is the range that you want to average is the unit price, and we get the average. Same goes for count. You can also try average ifs. Same goes for count. So if I wanted to do the count ifs, you can see count if here. So what is the range? What is the range that you want to count and the criteria? So the range that I'm counting and the criteria is what is going to come next now. So I want to count this particular range. And what's the criteria? The criteria is that if this count them if the value is greater than 300. So I have to put in quotes greater than, type in the greater than sign, greater than 300. You understand? So I close the bracket and I press enter. So it's only 10. So those are the average if, count if, sum if. We have so many ifs that is attached to all these mathematical functions. So you can try them out and see how all this thing works. Although there will be an assignment that comes with this particular session. So I'm going to add the assignment to it and you can see it and try out all these things there. So that is for conditional statements. That's all about conditional statement that we have. We talk about the if and if or, some if, and many more like that. So thank you. All right. So the next thing we are going to be talking about in this session is lookup functions. What by lookup functions? Let's say, for example, now I want to look up a name of a customer here. Let's say I have a very large table that contains some information. Let's say, for example, now a customer lodge a complaint about a particular product, maybe an e-commerce company. So a customer lodge a complaint about probably the product he bought and is not good and he wants to return it or something like that. Now, the customer, they have to confirm whether the customer truly buys the product from them if they are going to attend to the customer. So now for them to check whether the customer really buys the customer from them, they might ask for the customer maybe purchase ID, yeah, purchase ID or sales ID. Now they have a list of informations or list of transactions that has happened. Probably the person bought the good like 7 days ago and it's just coming back today. A lot of transaction has happened before that time, and if for them to check it, that means they have to be scrolling through their database or something like that. Probably the data is in an Excel sheet. They have to be scrolling up and down to look for his particular sales ID. Now they can use the lookup value functions to look up the person information. So how does this one work now? So for lookup, we have three types of lookup. We have the VLOOKUP, we have the HLOOKUP, then we have the XLOOKUP. Actually, the XLOOKUP can do the work of both the V and HLOOKUP. So that's the a newer function of newer type of lookup is the XLOOKUP. Very, very new. So but the VLOOKUP, how does the VLOOKUP works? V that we saw here is means vertical. So when your table is arranged on a vertical base like this, is arranged vertically because when you are doing VLOOKUP, it's searching from up to down. So that's what by VLOOKUP vertical is searching from up to down is vertically. So but when we are talking about HLOOKUP is searching from what? From left to right, like horizontal. That's what by what? HLOOKUP. And XLOOKUP can do the work of both the V and HLOOKUP. So let's look at the VLOOKUP briefly. So I want to probably the customer ID is one particular customer, and I want to check whether the customer really comes to our company to buy something. So for example, I want to look up the name of the customer from this our customer information. So how can I do that? So I can type in a formula here. So whereby I'm going to type in VLOOKUP. Now this is where I want to enter. The first one is a lookup value. So what does the lookup value mean? Lookup value is what you are using as a search pattern. So an example of a lookup value can be the person sales ID. But in this case, probably I'm looking for the customer in the customer ID database. So I'm going to use the customer ID because every customer ID has a unique name. And one of the conditions of this lookup value is that the lookup value must be unique. Because if the lookup value is not unique, Excel is only going to pick the first one you come across. So the lookup value must be unique. So probably I'm going to input my lookup value here. Let me just put it here. H7. Then what is the table array? Table array is where you are looking, you're searching the value from. The whole table you're searching the value from. That's what my table array. So I'm going to select all this. Let me just select all this table I have here. So that's the table array. And you can see they've already named the table as customer. So the next one is the column index. So what is the column index from the table that I selected now? What is the column index uh of the customer name? So in this table now, the customer ID column is the first one. The customer name is the second column. You can see age is the third column. So in this case now, the column index is what? Is 2. So I press enter. Then we have this last one. And the last one is like, are you looking for an exact match or approximate match? So in this case, we are looking for the name of the person. So it's going to be an exact match. We're still going to talk about the approximate match very soon. So exact match, you click on it first, and I close the bracket. So I cannot type, if I type in the person customer ID here now, let's say I'm looking for C008, customer ID C008. You can see automatically it brings out the name of the ones of the customer. So that's an example of a lookup function. So it's looking up the value using a particular value as a search pattern. So that's one by what? Lookup value. So that's one by lookup, VLOOKUP rather. So the next one we want to talk about or we want to look at now is HLOOKUP. So let's just quickly use this product table. Let me just quickly use this product table because some is not that much. Okay. Let me delete all this. So let me just convert this table to horizontal kind of. So I want to transpose it. So to transpose the value, first of all, I have to check the length. That's 16. This one is 5. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and yeah, that's 5. So I cannot just click on. So I can click on transpose here. You can see, just click on transpose, and you can easily just transpose for the paste. So transposing means changing the orientation of the table from horizontal to vertical. So this is an example of a table that has been transposed. So in this case now, I want to, since the value I'm searching is from what is horizontal, like from left to right. So I'm going to be using HLOOKUP for this one. So I'm looking for the person. I want to know the brand of phone, using the product ID. So in this case, I'm going to use HLOOKUP. So what is lookup value now? Let me just say, okay, I'm going to put my lookup value in this empty cell. Lookup value is B28. It's going to be written, I'm going to put my lookup value there. So the table array is going to be this. Search of table array. So the next one is, what is the row index? The other one was asking for column index because it's arranged vertically, but this one is asking for the row index. So what is the row index of brand that I'm looking for? The row index of brand is row 2 because product ID is row 1, brand is row 2, type is row 3, operating system is row 4, like that. So I'm going to be typing 2 here. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for an exact match. So if I type in maybe P003 here, is that that's 0, and I'm getting HTC. So that is H lookup. Now for the X lookup now, let's briefly look at X lookup. So X lookup. Now, before I go to XLOOKUP, I want to tell you some of the limitations of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So one of the limitations of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP is this: it search from left to right. It search from left to right. So in H of VLOOKUP, if your lookup value column is in between probably the other variable, you can't look to the left of the lookup value column. So if my PID is here, for example, like if my PID is where the type is now, let me just let me copy it and just paste it there. Okay, is the value, it's a colon. Sorry, let me just copy all these things. It's a table rather. I'm creating a sheet for this. So we have it here. So let's say I delete this lookup value, I cut it out, and I want to paste it here. Now, in this case now, my lookup value is in the middle of everything. Probably this is what I'm using as my lookup. So my lookup column is here. Now, if I wanted to use VLOOKUP, the VLOOKUP cannot search to the left of the lookup column. It can only search to the to the what? To the right. So if I want to look up any value that is to the left of this particular lookup column, it's not going to find it. It's not going to give me anything because it can't look to the left. It can only look to what? To the right. So that's one of the limitations of both HLOOKUP and um, VLOOKUP. But for XLOOKUP can solve all those problems. So if I type in XLOOKUP and let's say what is the lookup value? Let's say I'm just going to put something here. Select this. Now, these are the parameters that this one is asking. The lookup array. What is the lookup array? So what I'm searching for is probably this. This is the lookup array. Now, what is the return array? That is, what do you want it to return? So I want it to return uh probably the price, unit price, comma. So it's asking that if the value is not found, what do you want it to return? Let me just put none. Unlike VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, if VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP could not find any value, it's going to return this error message. But this one, it asks for, okay, what do you want to return if it doesn't find the value? So I'm going to put none. And what type of match are you doing? So I'm doing exact match. So if I close the brackets now, you can see because there is no lookup value here now, it's returning none. And if I put, let's say P05, then I'm getting 299. So let's check it. And that's that. So that's one of the what examples of XLOOKUP. And another thing about XLOOKUP is that it can also look to the left of the variable. So if I want to type in XLOOKUP again, the variable my lookup value is still this, so this is where I'm going to put it. And this is okay. I think I made a mistake there. So select this, comma, select the lookup value, comma, the return array. So I want it to return the phone, type of phone, that's return array, and if not found, return uh, code. And I'm looking for exact match. So close the bracket. So it's none. So if I type in, let's say P05 also, you can see I'm getting Oppo. So XLOOKUP can look towards the left or the right. But for VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, they can only look towards the right of their lookup value column. So they can't look to the left. So that's one of the advantage of XLOOKUP over the two of them. And another thing about XLOOKUP is this. XLOOKUP also have wildcard. Let's say, for example, you don't know the name of what you're searching for now, but you know that probably it ends with 02 or 0 something. You can use wildcard search for that. So XLOOKUP goes to XLOOKUP. So I'm just trying to create a pattern here now. So what I'm looking for is on the lookup value, I noticed that it ends with maybe it ends with 05, but I don't know what started. So if you just know a pattern of what you are looking for, but you don't know the whole value, then you can use a wildcard. That's what we call a wildcard. So I'm going to type in, okay, I don't know what it starts with. So if you don't know what it starts with, you just put in quotes, put star here, star, and they put ampersand, that's the and. Then put what it ends with. It ends with 01. That's what it ends with. But I don't know what it starts with. But okay, what it ends with is what I'm going to put here. So I'm going to select the cell. But I don't know what it starts with. So comma. Now what is the lookup array? Is this same this particular one? That's my lookup array. Then return array is this touch, and the that's the return array. If not found, put none as usual. And what I'm looking for exactly. No, so in this case now, this is where you now, if you are using a wildcard search, you are not going to use exact match in this case. So you are going to select a wildcard character match. So click the plus enter. Is you can see there's nothing there, but it's returning touch. Do you have anyone that is zero? So let me put in 0 0 6. So it's returning non-touch. Yeah, 0 6 is returning non-touch. It's because of the 01 that we put. That's why it's actually bringing the touch for the first one. And if I put in another one, let me just change this one. I put in, let's say, 10. Like, it's also returning touch because that one is what matters to it, what corresponds to it. So that's that about X lookup. Now, before we go into the probably real life application of what is VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, apart from all this, let's look at now. Okay, let's look at the practical aspect first. Let's say, for example, now I have a table here. So I have the customer table, I have the customer, so I have the product table, I have the customer table, then I have the sales table. Now, in this case, these are different tables that are separate, like they are in different location. And what I want to do now is this. I want to bring the tables together into just one location. I want all of them to be together in just one location. So before you can merge tables together, just like when you have a product table, for example, now I have a sales table here, and I wanted to do some calculations to know okay, what's the total price for this particular product, and I have the product information here. So I want to bring the product information to the sales information. Also, I have information about customers. So I want to bring everything to the sales data. Now, for me to be able to do that, I have to look at both the table, both the product, customer, and sales table. Is there anything that you have in common that I can use as my lookup value to search for the variable? For this case now, so if I'm bringing in the product, I notice that the product has what we call the PID. And the PID, we also have the PID in the sales table. So I can leverage on that to look up the value of what PID 15 from the product table and bring it here. So they have something in common. So but they must have something in common before I can use it to look up the value. So in this case, now let me just try to write some functions to bring out some of the variable that I have here. Probably I want all these variable here, the brand, the touch, and everything. So I can just type in uh, VLOOKUP. So what is my lookup value here now? What they have in common is what? Is the PID. So I select the PID. So the table array is the product. Select the table product, then comma. I continue with it in this formula bar here. So what uh column do I want to bring in? Like I said, you have to type in the column index. So if I'm bringing in a brand is on column what? Column 2. So I'm going to type in 2 and exact match. You can see I have the product here now for everything. So I can also bring in another value. Let's say I want to bring in, so this one, let me just call this one brand. So I want to bring in another value. Let's say I want to bring in operating system. I can also do that. Yeah, yeah. Our lookup value is SID. Cut table is product. Then, so uh what is the column index of operating system? So it's like this one is one, this one is two, this one is three, this one is four. So it's four. I'm going to put in four there, close the brackets. Okay, now there's another one, exact match or approximate match. So it's an exact match. Then there's something wrong. Okay, I use SID instead of PID. Sorry. Then you have the value like that. So that's how you use VLOOKUP to bring in a value. And the difference between VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP is one is horizontal and one is vertical. So you have to be typing it one after the other like that to get it.